Oh no! Because I spent all of E3 with Kevin Callahan, Nintendo forgot to announce Diddy Kong Racing Wii U!
Hello and welcome to the Kongversation. I'm Hyle Russell.
I'm Chad McCanna.
And welcome to our E3 2016 preview.
Oh, Jesus Christ. This is like the presidential elections now.
Yeah. It never ends. Yeah.
It will always.
It's
be
all
part
about
of
the horse race. It's all about the horse. It's not actually about talking about video games or playing them. It's about speculating about which video games are coming out.
I tell you this: if E3 was a literal horse race between, it took place at the Kentucky Derby. It was Phil Spencer, Satoru Iwata, and Ian Sony, and they were jockeys on mares, and they had to run around and I would legitimize that as the winner of E3.
Okay, you completely lost me with that analogy.
It's a literal horse race between the leaders of the three major companies.
Yeah, okay, it is. I don't know who. I guess what Sony won then. I don't know who won E3.
Well, if you're looking at pre-orders, Microsoft certainly did.
Yeah, I guess
I don't know
so.
what is the metric that you like most social media impressions? How do you measure success?
As far as we're concerned, Microsoft won E3 because of Rare, but we're biased as hell, so what do we know?
Yeah, but that's sort of what I was alluding to. Like the number one Amazon pre-orders of all E3 announced games, Rare Replay. So it's not really just us. That might just say that people are cheap and that it's a $30 game. What a value!
Hey, it really is about. Can you believe we're like a month away from Rare Replay coming out?
Yeah. Oh, there was a little bit of hubbub, a little bit of pitter-patter on the internet over the release date. It seemed for a day, it seemed like Amazon was pushing the release date to August 7th, but Rare has confirmed it is indeed August 4th. So,
phew, that would have created a riot, I think.
Yeah, it would have been panic in the streets. This would have been it could have rivaled the Arab Spring.
Baltimore all over again.
Yeah. So thankfully that is not the case. You will not have to wait an additional 72 hours. You have spared yourself another playthrough of Majora's Mask.
Yes. So anyway, no, we will not be discussing E3 2016. This is actually a normal episode of the Kongversation for a change.
Ish.
And
normal-ish.
Normal. What?
It's a phone call backlog, and we have like a dozen of them.
Well, there's a phone call backlog, but there's also some news to discuss, so it can't all just be us taking calls, because, quite frankly, who wants to hear that besides the people who called in? Nobody.
Yeah, everyone's just listening for their call, and unfortunately, one of them we're going to get to at like the 2.5 hour mark, so...
Yeah, well, anyway.
I won't say who it is, though, because I want them to listen to the whole thing. I know who it is.
Anyway, so we're going to be discussing some news. There's actually some substantial post E3 news to discuss. So it looks like, we're going to be avoiding the summer swamp ass this year. Like, there's going to be stuff to talk about continually into the fall.
That's right. Yeah. So long-term listeners of the show will know this, but for the newer folks, the summer swamp ass, which is not a phrase that you typically just casually drop into conversation, it's our way of describing the post E3 period, the doldrums of video game news between.
The thing is, the doldrums of the summer are never as bad as the doldrums of the winter.
No,
because
that's why we call it the winter shitfucks.
The winter shitfucks, that's the worst. And we did have a touch of that earlier this year, but we quickly got over it as soon as the Renaissance picked up steam.
Well, yeah, because we had ukulele to carry us through a lot of the winter shitfucks.
Yeah, so, but with the summer swamp ass, a lot of it is just anticipation of the fall's games. Mm-hmm. But because of Rare Replay, we're getting a major game released in summer, so... We're kind of just biding our time for a few weeks until we have games to play and through the end of the year. So that's
what I'm kind of worried about with Rare Replay, because I was invited to the Xbox preview program and I've got the backwards compatibility. So I've already re-downloaded Banjo-Kazooie and Tooie. And I've sunk.
Well, why would you do that? Rare Replay is coming out in a couple of weeks.
Well, because they're free to if I downloaded them on the 360, of course, but I can re-download them now for free. It just shows up like, hey, your gamer tag owned these things at one point. Why don't you bring them over? So I did that, and thankfully Rare Replay is smart enough that it will pick up my achievements and my save games and everything. So I'm all set. I'm basically playing an advanced game from Rare Replay right now.
We've been technically we've been doing that all of our lives.
Yeah, I guess so. But I mean, in terms of like the achievements and all of that. Right. Because unfortunately my save games were not cloud saved on the 360, so while I have the achievements, I don't have the saves. So I need I need the stop and swap stuff in case Stop and Swap 2 is ever leveraged. Because I'm a crazy person.
We're all crazy people, Chad.
Of course. But that's one thing that I'm worried about is that I realized that I've already sunk a good 3 hours in the last 24 of those hours. So 1/8 of my previous day into playing Banjo-Kazooie. I know that Jet Force Gemini is longer, and I know that Battletoads is harder, and I know that there's this whole litany of games I've never played from the NES and the Spectrum. I'm so terrified at the insurmountable top of Westeros wall that I have to scale. I have no idea how I'm going to create the time to play Rare Replay. That's the one thing that really worries me is that there's no way I can play it all, but I want to.
You've been looking for a way out of your marriage for a while now, right? So,
oh yeah, I can't stand it. Ugh.
So yeah, here you go. Yeah, this will easily lead to divorce proceedings.
As evidence, Hyle, why don't I explain to you the key differences between men and women?
And for the value for $30, I am really looking forward to it, and I'm looking forward to playing the non-DKU games. I think because there's a lot of Rare games I never gave much of a chance, like Jet Force Gemini. We were just talking earlier this year
on the honorable mentions episode we did with Alistair. You didn't have much to contribute because you hadn't gotten that far through it, but now you have a real chance at it.
And now I don't have to find my dusty N64 in my parents' attic. I can actually play it on a system I have hooked up. So it's great.
You people getting rid of your physical media.
I hoard physical media. Me of all people, Chad. You should know that. I'm a collector. So
just not when it comes to the games that informed who you are as a person.
Oh, I still have the games on the shelf. I just can't play them.
Oh, but the console is okay. I see.
Yeah, no. The consoles I don't have room for, but the games, the DKU games especially, they're always going to be on my bookshelf. So.
Okay, fair enough. That's fair enough. And for the record,
good Lord, Chad, you think so little of me. It's disgusting.
And for the record, I am quite enamored with my wife. There is no marital discord to report.
I thought you were to say you're quite enamored of your physical media. You kind of let me down there.
Oh. I gotta have those lost Blu-rays.
I was like, look, don't touch my my Beatles albums, please.
Mm-hmm. No, actually, except for video games. Video games are the one non-negotiable piece of physical media that I was able to bring to New York. All the DVD, my must-have Blu-rays are in my parents' attic. There seems to be a trend there. And let's see. I have a couple copies of Elvis and Slick Monty on DVD, and that's really it. And then video games. So in paring it down to that degree, I was able to keep all my cartridges.
Yeah. I mean, I have some Blu-rays. I only buy Blu-rays if they're essential. Like, I have the Lost Blu-rays. Mm-hmm. I have Breaking Bad.
You know how you can tell when a Blu-ray collection is essential? Because typically that'll be part of the marketing. It'll be the essential Lost.
Yeah. I also have the Bond set, James Bond set in Blu-ray. So.
That's a lot of movies.
Yeah, it's it is a lot.
Do they give you like a sort of like record of the month subscription service with the Bond Blu-rays where whenever Skyfall comes out, you can mail in for $1.99. They'll send you the follow-up disc. Is it like an ongoing collection?
No. This came out before Skyfall was released on home video, but they did leave a space for Skyfall. But
on home video.
Well, I mean, that's what it's still called. Like, they still have their divisions, like Warner Home Video, you know?
Right. It's just, it's funny, the phrase home video. It reminds me, I can't hear the phrase home video without having, like, scanline artifacts cover up my memory.
I miss the VHS era. We're going wildly off topic here, but I miss it.
Yeah, I don't think we have been on topic this entire episode.
There's just something so joyful about, like, VHS, like the clunky box and just like this like hard brick. It's like, yeah, this movie is in my hand.
I was thinking the other day about how when I was 99, when I was 14, when we started this website, I would tape every episode of Futurama off the TV onto a VHS tape, and I was just thinking how, like, the commercial, I would stop the tape, I would rewind it like 5 seconds, I would hit play, and then I would stop it like with 2.5 seconds away from the commercial break, and then get ready to hit record again. And like all of those actions, the VCR sounded like it wanted to vomit. Like, you know, it's ridiculous that we got anything done with that kind of technology.
And like, what, 3 years later, you got the DVDs. So what a waste of time. But I will say that's why you should have recorded the commercials, because that's the interesting thing about old VHS recordings. It's like the artifacts of the time, those commercials.
Had I known, in my mind, that was the shit that I wanted rid of. Although I will say that I do have one edge on the Futurama DVDs. My original recording of the pilot has the now tasteless joke where a guy goes into the tube and says JFK Jr. Airport instead of
fair,
yeah.
I remember like the first or second year of the site, you made a JFK Jr. joke, and I found that that was the one thing I found offensive.
Really?
And now I don't care because he crashed his plane. But
I draw the line at the president's son, sir.
I think after 9/11, it was just like, okay, there's really nothing to be offended about anymore.
Yeah. After 9/11, Kate Capshaw went through the nightclub and anything goes.
Right. They were in a plane crash, too.
They were. You know, were it only so simple to have survived 9/11 by inflating a raft and... Okay, Jesus Christ. Let's move on.
Well, it was Al Qaeda. You know, if it was Lao She who orchestrated 9/11,
nice try, Lao She. You know, Dan Aykroyd is such a huge conspiracy theorist. Perhaps I'm a Weber.
Yeah. We should have him on the conversation. You know, we could promote Crystal Skull vodka and just talk about, like, I don't know, UFOs in the Donkey Kong universe. I think that would be a good show.
Yeah, we'll dredge up.
And plus, it's not like he has Ghostbusters to work on or anything.
we can dredge up that old article that talked about rods as if they were real things.
Right, and not insects.
Yeah, insects that a camera's natural, like, persistence of vision delay interprets as a rod-shaped object. Right.
Yeah.
Oh, childhood. Why? See, that was the problem with the late 90s, is that they gave idiots like us websites.
Yeah. When we were young, the world seemed so much more magical. Wonderful. I don't know. I'm butchering the lyrics to that.
Yeah,
song.
that was a poor tribute to Supertramp.
Yeah. Well, apologies to Supertramp and Dan Aykroyd and the 9/11 widows.
The 9/11 families, yes. Jesus Christ. We are off to a rip-roaring start on this quote-unquote regular episode.
This episode is quite regular in that we're just shitting all over the place.
Yeah, this is exactly what you don't want to do to grow an audience.
You know, whatever. I don't mind. It's not like it's not like the 9/11 families are listening to this.
So if you want to call the conversation, a perfect time to tell you how to complain verbally and in piercing detail in our ears. Call 1-281-410-5664.
And that's KONG.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to point out how clever it was that the 5664, it could actually be translated into a word.
It is quite clever.
It's brilliant.
Yeah. Much like 1-800-OOPS-JEW before us.
Right.
Which, without context, sounds anti-Semitic. But Google it.
Oh God, I'm going through Colbert withdrawal. Like all the shit he's been posting on YouTube.
Did you see
fantastic.
the comedians in cars getting coffee with Colbert?
I heard about it, but no.
Yeah. So I watched that. This is to the uninitiated, because you're listening to a Donkey Kong podcast. You obviously know about Jerry Seinfeld's web series. It's Jerry Seinfeld's web series. Where he literally takes comedians in cars and gets coffee. He had Colbert on his show this last week, and it definitely underscored to me how Jerry Seinfeld and Stephen Colbert, just as people, are operating on two completely different levels.
How so?
There were several points where Stephen Colbert started to go down a somewhat meaningful angle in the conversation, and that was typically met with either mocking derision from Jerry Seinfeld in kind of one of those like over the top, like boo hoo hoo, like oh I'm so emotional, but I don't really care what you're saying. It was sort of almost like he was bullying Stephen Colbert's sincerity. And it really left a bad taste in my mouth. I would say check out that episode, and maybe I'm just looking too much into it. But it even if it wasn't bullying, it was a dismissal of what Stephen Colbert was trying to say, which, while funny, was also very interesting, kind of on an existential level in a few cases. And it was really unfortunate that, as a host, Jerry Seinfeld refused to engage in those topics.
Well, I would watch this, but I think it's exclusive to a Mac because we all know how Jerry Seinfeld feels about PC.
Wait, what? Do
you didn't hear
political
that?
Correctness? Or...
Yeah, you didn't hear that rant that he went off on the other week?
No, I thought you were referencing how in the Hulu deal they put together a Seinfeld replica apartment in Midtown New York and accidentally had a PC in the background.
No. They Jerry Seinfeld says he no longer plays college campuses because everybody's so politically correct and he can't tell tasteless jokes anymore.
Okay, so he'll be touring with Billy Engvall and Jeff Foxworthy soon enough. That's unfortunate. I really hate the notion. Louis C.K. tells tasteless jokes constantly, but they're funny and they don't seem callous and out of step with modern thinking. But when Jerry Seinfeld does it, there's always this sort of undercurrent of mean-spiritedness.
Yeah, and I think it's just because Jerry Seinfeld has more money than God, and he quickly grew out of touch, and that's just my take. But I don't know the man. So who knows?
We're only Donkey Kong podcast hosts. We can't be expected to judge Jerry Seinfeld, much as our listeners would want us to.
Right, we can judge all sorts of people so long as they can be tied back to Donkey Kong. But
right.
I don't think Jerry Seinfeld could. Like they did a Frogger episode, but that's a several degrees removed from.
That's
DK,
a tenuous stretch. I would say we'd have better luck with by judging, say, Kylie Minogue, who has a namesake ostrich from Donkey Kong Country 2 Game Boy Advance.
And we do judge Kylie Minogue quite a bit here on the show. Sometimes it's silently, sometimes you don't realize it, but it's happening.
Right. Yeah, we definitely have sort of an undercurrent of judgmentalism toward her and her fans.
Yeah. So anyway, what the fuck are we talking?
I don't know, man. We're 18 minutes deep, and we have like a dozen calls, as we previously established. Social media.
All this new audience we got over the last couple of weeks gone.
They're gone. Social media. iTunes. That's not really social media, but we're on Tumblr, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter.
Yeah. DK Vine's on all of these things.
All of the things. And right, with the exception of Instagram, we're posting unique content to all of them, which is insane.
Yeah, absolutely. But, I mean, to be fair, I'm doing Facebook, you're doing Twitter, Cameron's doing Tumblr.
Right.
So it's not like we're, like, splitting ourselves in triplicates. We actually have people, different perspectives on each one, so check it out. Also, subscribe to the Kongversation on iTunes, as Chad alluded to, but aborted. Rate us on iTunes, and tell your friends about the show. Unless they're 9/11 widows.
Yep, don't tell them. They might not appreciate it as much.
No. Anyway. Oh, also the DK Vine forum. Join it. There's been slightly better times to join the forum.
Oh my
but,
God! Really?
Yeah, E3 was a better time to join.
It's really hard to make a case for post E3 as a better time to join than mid E3.
Yeah,
or even
it's kind of in a
pre-3.
holding.
Yeah,
I think the most active threads on the DK Vine forum in the last 2 days have been about Donald Trump and about which Donkey Kong Country game do you hate the most. So not really riveting discussion.
actually, no. There was a quite good thread from, I think, Planet Cool about an interesting gameplay idea for Banjo 3E. So come on, don't sell the forum short. There's some good stuff on there, even while we are in a little mini Summer Swamp Ass.
Yeah, a little bit of summer, so it's a little humid. You're gonna get a little bit of summer swamp ass,
Yeah.
but you stick some moist naps up your crack and get some talcum powder.
Yeah, so
You're
I was
ready.
going to say we've got a few spurts of Gold Bond in the form of Which Brothers Bear is Best videos.
But by the way, I think that's getting a little bit much. I think we've hit the point of saturation for Which Brothers Bear is Best.
What are you talking about? People love it.
Because, people love it.
They'll never get tired of it ever.
I was checking our channel page the other day, and I was just like, oh God, another one of these?
Oh, on YouTube?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, people will never get tired of it. It is eternally hilarious.
Chad, like I helped make like half of them, and I'm tired of it.
You're done. All right, well,
I'm done.
Comic-Con.
To be fair, I was the one who had to talk you out of making more on the last day of E3. I was like, no, I think we got enough. I think we're done.
Comic-Con is in full swing, and we do have our official, unofficial DK Vine forum correspondent, MF Wolf, on the show floor. He's already asked a few people which Brothers Bear is best, and we can only hope he continues to do so.
But he doesn't have the poster.
He's been doing a lot of creative things, like pulling up a Wikipedia page on the Brothers Bear and letting people scroll through it. He's making it work. He's a bright lad, that MF Wolf.
Yeah, he's kind of really risen in the ranks. It was just like a couple months ago that he first called into the show, and already he's had lunch with us. He's
and that, if ever there was a status symbol.
Well, how many DK Vine 4 members have ever had lunch with us?
Joe is technically a 4 member, and I got drunk with him. I don't think
you hired him because you got drunk.
Yeah,
you hired him because you got drunk in a bar.
Yeah, but when I met him, he wasn't hired, so he was at that point just a mere forumer.
All right, fair enough. Okay, so that's it for the due diligence. Let's get to the calls because we have a lot of calls to take, a lot of backlog, and I want to get to the news. So let's get through the calls.
All right. I do want to. One production note I want to mention is that unlike previous episodes where we have screened the calls, this episode we're doing something a little different. All we did was make sure that the calls are not just like people making heavy breathing sex noises.
But those are my favorite.
Right. We screened those out, and what you're going to hear are the actual calls, but we don't know the content of them. So unlike previous episodes where we may have had time to come up with somewhat interesting answers, we don't have such a luxury. So
unlike previous episodes where we pretended that we hadn't heard the calls before, there was the previous episodes were nothing but lies and deceit. We're actually being honest with you for this one. So
please understand the quality may suffer as a result of our honesty.
That's what you get for honesty, right? This is why it pays to lie.
All right. So with that, call number 1.
Oh, jeez.
Hey guys,
oh no,
Rob Butler here again.
Rob.
I've just been kind of like down lately.
Was he fired from his butlering job?
Stuff.
No, come on.
I was wondering, guys, do you think there's an afterlife?
What?
And, like, what is it like? Is there a God? Thanks. Bye.
Well, Hyle, do you want to field this one?
Well, I know what you'll say. I remain.
Oh my God. We're starting the show off with a bang.
Yeah. Well,
it depends on your worldview.
Yeah. I remain cautiously agnostic.
Boo! Boo! Get off the fence.
No. Like, I don't believe in a god, but I believe there might be. There's shit unseen. There's flying rods out there, man. You don't know what happens.
That's true. That's a very valid point. I think that the flying rods are the best case for theism being a valid way to spend your time.
Look, look, there's a wild world out there, and who?
Go ahead and. Something non-committal.
We're all on this grand adventure together, and
you might even say we're on Spaceship Earth.
Is that a reference to Star Trek?
No, it's a reference to Wet Hot American Summer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, it was a comedy nerd reference, not a sci-fi nerd reference.
I actually need to go back and watch. I've seen bits of that. And,
what? It's one of the funniest. Oh, I'm so glad that they're bringing it back as a prequel with everyone having aged 10 years. It's amazing.
Yeah. Anyway,
yeah, no, we've I think exhausted our tangent supply for the episode.
Look,
my answer,
Rob.
Yeah,
let me finish.
Go ahead,
because you're gonna say no.
But you don't know me.
I know you pretty well. So Rob, I can't answer these cosmic questions for you, but I can tell you this. There's the Donkey Kong Country series. There's the Donkey Kong universe. Banjo, Conquer. If there is no God, isn't it great that you at least have that?
My answer was going to be something along the same lines, actually. I was going to say the answer's no, with an asterisk, depending on your definition of God. If it's something that exists outside space-time, I guess... Maybe if there's some extra universal entity, like the beings
from Star Trek V,
or from Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
Well, they weren't gods; they were just dickhole aliens.
They were from the space between spaces.
And Dan Aykroyd has made some pretty killer vodka out of their skulls here.
That's right. So if it's something like that we really have no way of understanding with our tiny monkey brains that evolved on this ball of mud, then...
Unless your monkey brain is from Donkey Kong Island and it evolved into a human-like state of intelligence.
Now, Hyle, that was because television crates washed up on the shore.
Hey, we saw those television crates in Tropical Freeze.
That's true, in the very first level. So... Anyway, no, there's no God in the traditional Judeo-Christian way of thinking about it. Potentially and almost certainly there are alien beings somewhere out there that are well evolved beyond what we can perceive and thus may be considered godlike. But ultimately, all that matters is that while you're around, running around with this form of consciousness, whether or not there's an afterlife, make the most of it. Which is basically what Hyle said. We have Donkey Kong Country too.
Here's what I'm saying. Here's my grand statement on it, and then I'll move on.
Yeah.
I believe we are here to evolve as a species and on a spiritual level as well. I believe we're here to better ourselves.
So you're going for this whole hive mind theory, where we're ultimately going to be turned into the thing from the second shitty Futurama movie.
Honestly, I only remember Bender's big score, so I'm not going to respond to that.
That's a good place to cut off your memory. It was David Cross as the tentacle rapist creature.
Yes, something like that. So basically, I think there's some grand. I think Star Wars isn't far off. I think there's some sort of grand, universal, cosmic energy that we all tap into.
Oh no, really?
And as we, well, not in that sense, not in the I'm going to levitate shit and do swirly flips, but in wisdom and compassion, in knowledge, in evolution, we physically evolve, we spiritually evolve, and each life we progress in is a journey closer to that state of perfection.
You just took a turn into reincarnation. That came out of no. Now I can understand the whole there are forces beyond our understanding, but you just started saying literally this is a loop.
Well, maybe it's not reincarnation, but I'm saying other lives in a vague sense. However you want to interpret that.
But that's not philosophy. Well, no, that actually is philosophy.
So,
I'm going to make a vague proclamation and let you interpret it however you want. Money, please.
Here's my thing. And yes, you can send me money. But here's my thing. So to become better people, that's why we're here, is to become better people, more compassionate.
By what
more
objective standard?
By not being a dick.
No. I understand that, but if that's our purpose, who or what established that purpose? Like, it would have to be some standard bearer of decentness and goodness outside the human race, right?
Or it could just be embedded into the fabric of the universe. I mean, like, it might not be. I'm not saying there's an old man with a beard on a cloud, like with a checklist. Yeah, that would be awesome if there was a Santa Claus.
He decides who's naughty and who's nice. Yeah,
I'm all about Santa Claus. All right, and I fully support that into my bullshit like loose religion I'm
right.
spewing out here. But my point
let
is,
us never accuse you of taking the Christ out of Christmas.
No, I mean Jesus historically was a swell dude, but I think that's all he was,
albeit imaginary.
There could have been a historical figure, Jesus.
Okay, all right.
Jesus of Nazareth, you know.
Let's continue.
Anyway, so and his teachings were pretty swell. It's just a shame people misinterpret his teachings to be hateful bigots. Anyway,
also
my point being. To become a better person, to help you on this spiritual evolution, play some Donkey Kong games, because they teach you loyalty. They teach you to be in harmony with nature. They teach you to be a laid-back 90s guy, and I think that's important. So,
see, the Donkey Kong games were the font in which Hyle and I were baptized. So
yeah, so I think if you really want a holy book to follow
right.
and to give your life meaning, that is the Donkey Kong Country trilogy.
Yeah, let your guiding hymns be Lee Loveday's sarcastic Cranky Kong dialogue from the instruction booklets.
So I guess that would make the retro games the New Testament.
That's right. We're about to enter into a Third Testament Book of Mormon phase. We just don't know how it will manifest itself.
No, retro's got to finish the New Testament first. They got to have their Book of Revelation.
Okay.
So
maybe that's what it'll be. Donkey Kong Country Revelation. Well, they've already had the fire and brimstone. That was the tiki explosion.
They've had fire and brimstone, and they've had ice. So I don't know. K-Roll break the 7 seals. I don't know. It's all a bunch of. That's.
Oh no!
What?
Are you showing your hand now?
Well, did I ever spout any Christian philosophy here?
No, that's true. That's true. You did.
It was all new agey bullshit. So
right. Well,
there you go.
I feel like that was an unnecessarily reasoned response to Rob Butler's call.
Seriously, Rob, get outside. Like, get out in nature. It'll make you happier.
All right, let's listen to the next call. Thanks, Rob.
Okay, thanks, Rob.
Oh, and let's see. Sorry, I meant for those questions in the DKU, not in real life.
Oh God. Real. Fuck off, Rob. God damn it. Yeah, in the DKU,
there's a Queen Banana Bird. There's a
Wrinkly.
of course.
Wrinkly is dead, and she's a ghost. Yeah, there's
Lord of Games and
the programmer.
There's fairies.
There's the Void Storm port thing from Spark. Yes, there's an afterlife, and there's a god. God damn it.
And there's a genie named Taj, and he makes oranges talk.
He had
awesome.
something for you. Next call.
Hello, Hyle, Blush, Rousseau, and Chad. I am Metro Android. After many moons, I have finally answered your pleas and phoned in to indulge you with the fine art of erection and interrogation.
What?
Prepare your anuses, because this question is going to be deep.
What?
If you could go back to little babby times, Russell McCanna Boo-Hoo Jr. in 1999, and give your littler selves a few words of warning of what would be to come in your lives, what would those words be? Also, where's Jeremy? Has he just been playing Dota 2 for the past year and a half? Thanks.
Okay.
I did not follow that at all, except the "Where's Jeremy" part.
Yeah, where's Jeremy? I'm guessing what he meant by that was in reference to us going to E3 and doing all those things. Because the question was basically, if how would you what would you say to your, youthful pre-DK Vine whelp self if you could go back in time? I wouldn't say anything.
I wouldn't interact with my past self because that could change the time-space continuum.
Yeah, it would.
Didn't Back to the Future Part 2 teach you anything?
Yeah, or the insanely complex plot, borderline incomprehensible to Terminator Genesis. You don't want to fuck around with causal loops.
Did you see Terminator Genesis?
No, I have not seen Terminator Genesis.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I've read reviews and I've seen some Red Letter Media videos about it, enough to know exactly how crazy fan scripty it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a sequel to a property that's more than Jurassic World, where they kind of deconstructed the whole appeal and put it back together again in a modern context. This seems to just be lazily evocative.
I really want, if I would write a Terminator film, a 6-1, and I would try to salvage it, I would write Kyle Reese dies before he can go back and father John Connor. So John Connor has. Okay. Yeah, so John Connor has to go back and father himself. And so I just want Sarah Connor to say the line, "Come in me if you want to live." That's all I got.
All right. Next caller. It doesn't matter. Move on.
Hey, Chad and Hyle, it's MF Wolf. From the forum.
Oh, yeah.
I just wanted to ask you if you
lunch.
think that the Donkey Kong franchise is the main franchise of the DKU. Now, obviously, it sounds pretty straightforward, yes. But to me, I feel like Donkey Kong in and of himself is pretty much on the same level now, in terms of importance at least, as Banjo, as Conker. And with this recent E3 being kind of dry for DK, but being anything but dry from the Rare side of things,
oh yeah,
I feel like I'm much happier thinking about it when I think of Banjo and Conker as, and not just subsidiary to Donkey Kong. Okay, thanks. Bye.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
it's a good point, and I think that just by virtue of the fact that we call it the Donkey Kong universe, it sort of implies that DK is the most important. But I mean, I don't know.
In a way, he is. In a way that franchise is, because it all spun out of that. But I tend to think that the three main pillars are Donkey Kong, Banjo, Conker. And,
I would counter that there's now a fourth main pillar with Sea of Thieves coming out. I think
but the fourth pillar is a little bit more ambiguous because it's made up of a lot of smaller entities, smaller franchises.
They're all Banjo spin-offs.
They're all Banjo spin-offs, which gives Banjo a lot more importance, I think, over Conker. But I think ultimately there's just a lot of ebb and flow. If you look at the history of DK Vine, different properties get the most attention at different period. So during the buyout era, we were a lot more interested in what Rare was doing, because we felt like Donkey Kong he was getting games, but it was just.
But they were called Donkey Konga 2.
Yeah, so we were a lot more interested in Banjo and Conker, and we didn't really get a lot of those games. We got more Donkey Kong games during the buyout era than we got Banjo and Conker, but the focus was there. And then, of course, in the Returns era, where Rare was making Kinect games, we were more into Donkey Kong and what Retro was doing. So, there's this give and take, and right now I think we're going to be entering a new era where maybe for the first time, they're all on equal footing again. I mean, what do you think?
I would say, I would say they're on equal footing just because we have no way to really know what footing they're on. I think that's one of the new strengths is that we no longer have these dormant branches of the DKU. Rare has now proven that they are back and fully capable of developing a Conker game.
But Chad, if they were back, why are they making a pirate game? A pirate game is not a Rare game. They never make a pirate game.
Oh, everything they make is a pirate game.
They should make a Banjo game. That's what Rare is, Banjo.
Okay,
and they should make a new GoldenEye.
Of course. Does MGM still own the rights to the Bond property? Or
yeah,
was that
but
like sold off to Sony?
But who owns the rights to MGM?
Who owns the lion's head?
Yeah.
There's some like big game hunter, some European, some Englishman go. Yes, I've got the lion. I've got MGM. And
that's actually how Saberman Stampede was going to end.
By revealing that Saberman now owns the rights to James Bond.
It was all an attempt to get James Bond under Rare and Microsoft's control.
Yeah, it was just going to tease the GoldenEye remake. So, at any rate...
No, I think that... Look, I think Donkey Kong has the most weight behind it because Banjo and Conquer spun out of that, and there's more Donkey Kong games than there are Banjo and Conquer, and there's a bigger cast there. I don't know. The Banjo cast is pretty extensive though, so I don't know. I think it just depends on how you feel waking up in the morning. You might have a Donkey Kong day. You might have a Banjo day. You might be feeling Conquer-ish.
You might feel like you want a bit of ukulele in your diet. You may want some Ghoulies. We got spin-off games for that. We got there's I think that's really now in the Renaissance. I'll call it what it is. I'm adopting the term, clunky as it is. In the Renaissance, now we have so many different active, rejuvenated branches of the DKU that I'm just going to sit back and enjoy the ride. It seems like one to enjoy.
Yeah, and it's why we call it the Rare Archipelago and not just the expanded DK Isles or whatever, because it really is just... when you think of it in that, and not just in what we brand the site or the concept of the Donkey Kong universe, then they're all on equal footing, you know. And really look at our Hall of Fame when shit like characters like Shabunga and Mr. Pants are in before Donkey Kong. I think that speaks volumes about where we really view things, because we do celebrate the obscure and things off the beaten path more than we do just what you expect us to. So,
well, hey, there are 2 entries left in the 2015 Hall of Fame that we have not seen. Maybe Donkey Kong's in there.
That's true. Yeah.
You
no,
never
we
know.
already revealed in the Crystal video that he
did we? Okay.
Yeah.
Donkey Kong's not in there. Sorry. Let's take one more call and then we'll discuss some news of the week.
Okay.
Hey. Yeah, it's me, Mamet. I've been doing much, but look at the Saturday Night Forum Watch episode I was in. Hope you guys liked it. But anyway, recently I went to Universal Studios Hollywood. It was quite nice. Not as big as Disneyland, but I really liked it. There's a studio tour there where you can get through the studio, and one thing to do is this little King Kong 3D ride thing where it's like in the jungle and everything, and it's quite immersive. I really like it, and it's got me thinking. So we know Nintendo signed a deal with Universal for their theme parks. Sounds pretty cool. I don't think it was discussed much on the show, but that said, since I saw the King Kong thing, it's wow, so amazing. Look at all this jungle stuff everywhere. I'd just like to know, what if Universal got the deal just so they could build a recreation of DK Island? What do you got? How do you guys think a Donkey Kong section of a theme park will be like? What kind of roller coasters? What kind of characters will be out? That kind of thing. And then there's one last question. So if DK Island is built at Universal, would that mean that canonically Donkey Kong Island is right next to Hogwarts and Marvel Superhero Island and Springfield? Because for all intents and purposes, these recreations of the world is in fact the real thing. So I'm just curious. Because that would mean a lot if Donkey Kong Island happens to be right next to the Wizarding World of Harry Potter. Anyway, that's about it for me. See you guys, and this is totally not an advertisement for Universal Studios.
It's definitely not an advertisement for Universal. Wow. Thank you for the call, by the way, Mamechi. I honestly feel like I'm not adequately trained in theme park canon theory to answer this question.
No, we'd have to bring in our old buddy Banks Lee for this.
Yeah, this is definitely a Banks question.
Yeah, or maybe even our friends at Left Handed Games, since they have more experience with theme parks than we do.
Right.
No, okay, for one thing, no, Donkey Kong Island would not exist in landlocked Orlando. That wouldn't be canon.
Not even in like some sort of continuity bubble.
No, no, that's not the way it works.
See, but that's the thing. We don't know what you're supposed to think when you're. I mean, you go to the you think what I tell you to think. All right, that's the way it works. You go to the enchanted castle or whatever the hell. Like, aren't you supposed to feel like you're in Cinderella? That's the whole idea, right?
Wait, well, I don't know if you're supposed to feel like you're in Cinderella. That might be offered to
no, that's why you get
high paying members, after dark,
Yeah, but that's when they put you in Disney jail.
Yeah, but no, I mean, I don't think a physical representation in a theme park would be canon. So I think it would just be a momentary flight of fantasy. So
okay,
there's that. But to answer his question, what would you like to see in the Universal Nintendo Land?
I didn't even realize it until just now, but I am now dreading that they will simply put a red tie on the existing King Kong ride from the 70s and just call that the Donkey Kong ride.
Yeah. Well, I honestly don't expect to see much. I think our Nintendo experience at E3 is what we'll expect from the Nintendo park, in that it's going to be very sanitized, sterile, manufactured. Here's a guy in a Mario costume. Hoo-hoo!
And here's his handler right behind him to make sure that you don't actually interact with him.
Yeah,
because it's not going to be Charles Martinet. It's going to be some guy with one of those, like you'd have those soundboards from the 90s that let you make prank calls with Arnold Schwarzenegger's voice. Yeah, it's going to be one of those things for Mario.
But I mean, at least they'll have theme park rides. They'll have roller coasters, hopefully, so that would be cool. I would hope we would get a minecart roller coaster. I think that would be the extent of what we would get if we got anything from the country games.
But why would they do that when they have a Shy Guy franchise that's so ripe for minecarting?
Right, exactly. No, I mean, we're gonna get a lot of Mario stuff. We're gonna get a lot of Zelda stuff, and everything else is just kind of blend in. I don't expect you're not gonna get a whole Donkey Kong wing of the park, and that's me being pessimistic. But
hopefully we can see some representation for Metroid Federation Force. I know that's very popular these days.
Absolutely, they can have a blast ball arena or
like a laser tag kind of thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Actually, Metroid laser tag would be kind of cool.
Right. As long as they label it Federation Force, because really it needs to be accurate to the series.
Yeah, exactly. And you know how much Metroid fans would love that.
Mm-hmm.
That would be like the one Donkey Kong representation in the park being, I don't know, where you can play the bongos, in a group or something.
Honestly, that's not too far off what I would expect Nintendo to do.
Really?
But yeah, Nintendo seems very into associating the Donkey Kong series with bongos. It even.
I mean, they've kind of. It's more like just a winking reference now. They're not actively trying to make more Donkey Konga games.
Well, yeah, thank God for small favors. If he existed, eh? Well, as established in our previous call. But anyway, live your life to the fullest. I don't think... I worry that Nintendo sees bongos as like a shorthand for Donkey Kong. I don't know.
They see a lot of things they see a lot of things as a shorthand for Donkey Kong. Bananas, girders, barrels. I mean, At least Skylanders incorporates all of them.
That's right. They just throw it all together, and somehow it turns out glorious. I'm really, really happy with the representation in Skylanders.
Oh, we'll talk about Skylanders here in just a bit. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not optimistic about anything for this Nintendo park, but that's probably because I'm not that optimistic towards Nintendo in general right now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm optimistic about retro. I'm optimistic about lots of
There's a reason why it's the Renaissance and not the Nintenquisition.
You never expect the Nintendo Quisition.
Yeah.
I can't even say that. What?
Nintenquisition.
Nintendo Quiz. That's a terrible portmanteau, Chad.
Nobody expects the Japanese Nintenquisition.
No, it's I don't know. I'm excited about individual portions of Nintendo, but as far as Nintendo as a whole, yeah. That's my attitude.
And you're sticking to it.
Yeah. I mean,
so
sorry. I know I got to play Splatoon. Everybody's saying, "Well, have you played Splatoon?" I'll play Splatoon. God damn it!
I would love to play Splatoon. I just don't have any bandwidth for it because now I'm stuck playing Banjo-Kazooie for the 21st time. Yeah. Well, let's discuss some news. We'll take a punctuation, an ellipses, if you will, from the listener calls. Get back to the rest. Rare at Comic-Con. That's going on as we speak.
As we speak, yes. Literally as we speak, people at Rare or at Comic-Con.
Yep. Don't know why you needed to underscore it again, but it's definitely happening literally while we are talking into microphones.
I literally felt like I had to contribute something to your statement, so I just reiterated what you said, but in slightly different verbiage.
And we are literally using the original dictionary definition of the word literally. Literally,
yes. We are.
So they had a panel yesterday. Seemed to go off pretty well. MF Wolf, our previously established caller and official, unofficial DK Vine Comic-Con correspondent. We're sticking with that title. He's been there.
Well,
at the show.
you gave me Rare Renaissance, so I'll let you have.
Yeah,
that
give me the official, unofficial DK Vine Forum Comic-Con correspondent, please.
Okay,
I think that's right. I may have left out a word. Anyway, he's been gracious enough to sort of keep us abreast of what's going on. It's seems pretty cool there that the panel they had Adam Park, they had Greg Mayles, Craig Duncan. I know Louise O'Connor, Nee Ridgway, was there. So we really wish we would have gotten to meet her.
Captain Bones?
Captain Bones was on the panel. Worry not, sir. And in fact, the team today, we're recording this on Friday evening. Today they were actually looking at kind of an 18th, or I guess a 19th century galleon that's docked off of San Diego. So
nice.
Yeah, they're doing some, some actual real world Sea of Thieves intel recon. So it's pretty cool. It seems like they're having a good time. Seems like the panel went off pretty well. They showed the Rare Replay intro.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so that's out in the wild now, right?
I don't think it's in the wild. I haven't seen anyone having recorded it. So I think they might have just showed it for the audience there. And unlike everything else at Comic-Con, they were actually able to keep it relatively close to the vest, which is nice.
Yeah, it's a shame they don't stream these panels, You would think that would be... Like that's the difference between E3 and Comic-Con. Is E3 you can kind of experience it from home, where to an extent. I mean, obviously, as we saw, there's things that are just completely unique to the in-person experience. But,
right.
Comic-Con, it's just like if you're not there, you're kind of just detached from it.
Yeah, I never really thought about it before, but I think it would make obvious business sense to have a less expensive online panel pass for Comic-Con.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think that would be worth it, and that way you wouldn't actually have to go to the convention. Because honestly, Comic-Con I have no interest in it.
Yeah.
Rare's there this year, and that's the only reason I regret not being there. But
we would have just bothered them every day for 4 hours a day.
It would be like E3 all over again, and they would swear off coming to America ever again.
They'd be like, "Oh God, not the DK Vine guys again."
Yeah, they know we're there waiting for them, asking them about which bear is best.
Yeah, so. I bet they got another question about Spiller's Harbor.
No, but it's cool that they're there, and I'm more disappointed though that I didn't get any of the swag that they're selling.
Yeah, I have called in a favor, and I got that 30th anniversary poster.
Ah, you dick.
Yeah, I know. But yeah, the Battletoads vinyl is pretty badass, and I'll cop to being an aging hipster douchebag in that we do. Of all the physical media we had to get rid of, we do still have vinyls. If Battletoads was not one of those formative titles for me, but if they ever even suggest they might put out a Banjo vinyl, I am all over it.
Yeah, you're such a hipster.
I'm sorry, but that super compressed MIDI synth just sounds so much fuller on the original vinyl.
Clearly, it was meant to be on wax.
This is what Grant Kirkhope had in mind when he was sequencing hexadecimal values.
David Wise did Battletoads.
No, yeah, but I was talking Banjo.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah,
gotcha.
my hypothetical Banjo vinyl.
Oh, okay. I had already dismissed that as being ridiculous.
Yeah, well, I would have dismissed a Battletoads vinyl as ridiculous, a week ago.
It is weird how much they're pushing Battletoads, considering it's just part of Rare Replay,
Well, I think it's nice that I think it helps them not treat Donkey Kong Country as such a pivotal moment in the studio's history. They
kind of have to sidestep that,
Yeah, it establishes some continuity between the Spectrum and Classic NES era and then the N64 era. You sort of need Battletoads to bridge that gap, so it makes sense to me why they're pushing it.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, because there is that big gorilla-sized hole in their lineup. But I mean, obviously, it's understandable. I'm not bitching about it because why? How could you bitch about that? It's not their fault.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a big gorilla-sized hole, by the way, is where Donkey Kong Jr. came from. Hey lads.
Hey lads. And Wrinkly died from those injuries 30 years later.
Between that game and Donkey Kong 64.
Yeah. She slowly succumbed to
hi Donkey. I died from complications due to your childbirth. Yeah, so that's rare at Comic-Con.
Yeah. Oh, also, there's some Captain Bones posters they're giving out, which are not limited to Comic-Con, so I've got to get my hands on one of those.
They only took 15 to Comic-Con. I think they.
I know that's what I'm saying though. It's not limited to Comic-Con. It's not like a Comic-Con thing. It's just matter of fact. So I got to get a Captain Bones poster.
I asked Captain Bones on Twitter if that implies we should just sneak onto Rare's grounds and dig up anything marked with an X. He didn't respond, so I'm going to take that as an implicit approval.
Well, you've already tried it once.
Oh yes, I'm an old hand at sneaking onto Rare's headquarters. Skylanders had an update to Superchargers.
Completely changing direction now with the news. Let's talk about Skylanders.
Yeah.
That was a terrible segue, Chad.
No, it wasn't even a segue. It was just I don't want to continue talking about the time I may or may not have snuck onto Rare ground. So let's talk about Skylanders.
All right, Skylanders. So I'll talk about Skylanders.
Nobody got hurt
that we know about. Yeah,
that we know of. Maybe some feelings.
That's why you want to go there with a shovel so you can dig up the bodies
and the Captain Bones posters.
Well, first and foremost,
right.
Yeah, where's Sam indeed? Anyway, so Skylanders. Obviously, I played it, so I am the expert here. Mm-hmm. We know that the bundle is the only way to get the Donkey Kong figure, and that's like $79.99. So it's a pretty hefty price tag for a game. But they announced this week that there's going to be a second bundle, and it's the Dark Edition. Yes, Dark Lads.
Does that have meaning in Skylanders? I don't know what that means.
Okay, so basically what the Dark Edition is it's a recolored Donkey Kong Skylander amiibo hybrid where instead of brown, he has black fur.
So he's like one of those Smash Brothers color variants.
Yes. So, but unlike amiibo variants like the gold or silver Mario ones, there's actually different software inside that will recognize it as a dark Donkey Kong figure. Okay. So and it's slightly stronger as well in game. So, in Skylanders lore,
is he bigger and faster in addition to being stronger too?
He is not, but he is blacker.
No one can argue with that.
It's true. So, I mean, anyway, so I'm not even going to touch that.
Yeah, now who's avoiding a segue?
Yeah. So apparently in Skylanders lore, and we learned this from people in the forum doing research, from Skylanders lore, there's apparently Chaos is the name of the main bad guy in Skylanders. Chaos with a K.
But that was just brainwashed Diddy Kong and Donkey Kong inside K. Rool's wife's old pots and pans.
It does bother me, but we're going to have another Chaos in Donkey Kong lore now. But thankfully, this is just it takes place in another dimension, so it's not infringing upon our series too much.
We need to start labeling these alternate dimensions because they're getting a little out of control. You know how, like, on Rick and Morty, he's Rick from Earth C-137? We need some kind of designation like that.
Let's not, because we can just say Mushroom Universe, Skylanders Universe. It works. We don't need like Earth 616. That's ridiculous.
Yes, that would be ridiculous. So continue talking to me about the dark variation of Donkey Kong in this sky-based ecosystem.
Happy to do so. In Skylanders lore, apparently Chaos, the main bad guy, was experimenting with like dark energy. I don't know, and he unleashed a wave of it.
No, Hyle, 70% of the universe is made of dark energy. This does make scientific sense.
It makes complete. The science holds up. Okay,
right.
So
look, they consulted Michio Kaku when they were making Skylanders,
and Kevin Callahan. He did the math for them. So anyway, the dark energy first infected Spyro, but so Spyro became a dark version of himself. But luckily, Spyro learned how to control the darkness from within, and he used it to his benefit. So he remained heroic, even though he was a dark version of himself.
Lad.
So basically, the same thing happened to other characters in the Spyro universe. Every time they wanted to release a variant dark figure, this is the reason. And so
they all are encountering this dark energy, turning into dark versions, and then are they able to also harness it like Spyro?
Yeah. So basically, they're slightly stronger and faster. So Donkey Kong gets infected with this magical dark energy, and he becomes Dark Donkey Kong. But he knows how to handle it.
It's not magical, Hyle. It exists on a chalkboard in some physicist's lecture hall.
Okay. So he learns how to become Dark Donkey Kong, and he
also exists on some physicist's chalkboard.
And because he has already mastered the darkness, he knows how to control it. Probably from the Mario versus Donkey Kong series, because he was brainwashed by Mario's subliminal advertising, and he became a deranged toy hoarding lunatic.
So are you postulating that there is some involvement of dark energy in the brainwashing message that was sent from Mario's toy advertisements?
No, but that was Donkey Kong's dance with the evil that lurks within his heart.
Ooh, dark energy is not evil. It's a neutral scientific construct.
Chad, I don't think this is dark matter. Okay, I think this is
dark energy is the corollary of dark matter because E equals MC squared.
Chad,
it's all part of the same continuum.
Chad, this is more akin to the dark side of the Force, okay?
Okay, all right.
Exactly what I was talking about earlier to Rob Butler.
But I know it's like you continually referring to gravity, but not actually meaning gravity. So
look, I didn't write the Skylanders series.
I know.
I haven't had 15 years to come up with fanon for Skylanders. I'm going into this cold turkey, all right? So
okay.
I'm an inexperienced talking about this. I'm just trying to make sense of it like you. Okay.
So all right. So Dark Donkey Kong has a lot more midichlorians.
Pretty much.
Okay.
And so I think from here on out, Donkey Kong will be able to become Dark Donkey Kong. It's like he's
at will,
like the Incredible Hulk. He just has to get angry enough.
Or he has to encounter dark energy. Is it like a reverse kryptonite? So anytime he does it, he gets more powerful?
No, I think it's like gamma radiation. It permanently alters his DNA so he can become Dark Donkey Kong at certain points.
Okay, we just need to figure out what that trigger is. I'm with you up until that point.
And it might only happen in the Skylanders universe. When he comes home, he might not be able to access that energy since the dark energy only exists. This evil dark side of the Force energy, not dark energy matter, whatever.
Right.
It only exists in Skylanders world. So. So that's the thing, and it
costs $100.
You can get the Dark Edition starter pack. The only way to get the dark version of Donkey Kong, and by the way, the Bowser version that comes with for the Wii game as well.
Yeah,
but,
you gotta get the Bowser version.
So $99.99 US for the dark edition.
Jesus, what is that? What could that possibly come with? Do you get a Wii U with it? What is in the package?
No. You get the game. You get a couple extra figures, and you get the vehicle for Donkey Kong, which also is a dark variant of the vehicle too. And you get the pad that you use to scan in the figures.
Oh.
So
because we can't just use the Wii U gamepad's built-in, AR reader.
Skylander. No, Skylanders has branding to worry about.
Yeah.
They like the pad is, they introduced the pad, so they've got to keep using the pad.
It's not branding, it's just proprietary technology that they want to force you into, which hey, Nintendo's been guilty of it too, so.
Right. If you want to use the gamepad's scanning functionality, you need an amiibo. Luckily, this figure is also an amiibo, so
right. But amiibos will not work with Skylanders.
Right, exactly. Are you confused yet? This is like the plot of Terminator Genesis in toy form.
Yeah.
But here's the rub, Chad.
Mm-hmm. There's a rub.
This week, I reserved both the regular and dark editions of Skylanders Superchargers.
Jesus Christ! What?
So about $180 on this fucking game.
Why? Go just get them on eBay after the game comes out.
Because I want the whole thing.
But you're gonna open the amiibos, right? Or the Skylanders?
Yeah. But
so,
who's gonna be selling? Dark Donkey Kong is gonna be a rare commodity. Who's gonna sell that?
Dark Donkey. Is that really how Skylanders works? They have like an amiibo-esque inflated black market. Like, is this the new Beanie Babies?
Considering you can only get this figure in this absurd bundle and it's not being sold individually, then yeah, maybe. And I don't want to pay. I don't want to pay $50 for this figure. You know what I mean? I might as well just buy the bundle,
right?
Get it over with.
Makes sense to me.
Well, hey, anyway, let it be known that I support Donkey Kong.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
So if it ever comes time for us to give a little bit more insight into our playthroughs of these up and coming and recently released games, Hyle's got it covered.
Absolutely. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to having both the regular and dark versions of my Donkey Kong Skylanders amiibo hybrid figure.
See, the thing that would tip my hand a bit is if I could be assured that the dark version had different, unique gameplay that I couldn't access with the original, and not just how the character operates. I mean, like different levels and different things to do.
Yeah, I don't know.
I have no idea. Like, I don't know. Is there a whole like base Skylanders adventure that you'll just play as Donkey Kong? Is that how it works?
Well, I mean, you can play the entirety of Superchargers as Donkey Kong. Yes.
Okay, I just don't know what it is as a game. So it's like a whole like full-on story-based game. It's just you can play as whoever you want.
Yeah, basically.
Okay. See, now I'm starting to understand Skylanders.
Now, here's the thing, though. So, future versions of Skylanders on Nintendo, you'll be able to use Donkey Kong as well, I'm sure.
Okay. There's so many, and the fact that you can click it over to Amiibo mode, there's so many wrinkles. Is it going to be a Donkey Kong figure? Is it going to be a special Skylanders Donkey? Like, how is Super Smash Brothers going to interpret this? I mean, I don't know.
Yeah. That's something that hasn't been explained. Is the software in this Donkey Kong the Amiibo software in this Donkey Kong figure just the regular Smash Brothers Donkey Kong software, or is it a unique figure? So
yeah, it's not even
we don't
software.
Know that.
It's just like some kind of flat file that identifies this as the ones and zeros that mean Donkey Kong. It's not. There's not like. Right. I don't think it's interactive at all, other than the Smash Brothers save game functionality. Yeah, it's just like, is this a Donkey Kong amiibo? But if it's a Donkey Kong Skylanders special amiibo, then that might not even register in those other games.
But the reason I'm looking forward to this game is I was bitching just last year when amiibos were new. I was like, amiibos will never catch on because this is why.
Yeah.
Because they don't have a Skylanders type game to support them. How cool would it be to be able to play a Nintendo version of Skylanders where you can scan in Donkey Kong and play as Donkey Kong or Diddy Kong? And well, at least we're getting that with Donkey Kong and Bowser. Nobody else. But
I'm not saying it's it's anything negative or cruel and unusual to the DKU. It's certainly unusual, but I think it's kind of cool. I'm just looking at the price point.
It's also a nice stopgap in a year where we don't have any new Donkey Kong games.
Yeah, I mean,
it's a hell of a pricey stopgap, but it's there. I would rather have a Donkey Kong Land, but whatever.
Yeah, well, we'll see. Yeah.
It's certainly not the value that Rare Replay is. Let's just say that.
That's true. Nintendo's got a tough competition if that's what they're aiming for.
I've already pre-ordered Rare Replay as well, of course. So $30 for 30 games, $180 for one game. Of course, it doesn't touch what I paid for Yooka-Laylee. So
Jesus Christ, yeah, we both went a little overboard with that.
Yeah, and the sad thing is there's people who went a lot more overboard than we did.
Yeah, well, it's good for the project.
It's good for the project. I'm not saying it's a bad thing for the project. I'm just the competitive streak in me. So, I wanted to spend the most on Yooka-Laylee.
You wanted to make those fart noises.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, let's move on to a few revelations that came out of the tweetosphere in the last week or so.
Is this like apocalyptic revelation or?
No. This is the standard sort.
Sorry, Rob.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to find answers for you.
Yeah. Only the DKU. So there was a back and forth that I participated a bit in with who's it? Mark Stevenson on
yes.
from currently of Playtonic, who was on the DK64 art team.
Yes.
He posted an original concept art sketch of Tiny Kong before Tiny Kong was ever Dixie's sister or even female.
Yeah, this is interesting because we never really knew much about how the evolution of Tiny, Chunky, and Lanky. They just kind of appeared fully formed to us, and we never really knew much about their origins or how they were conceived. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, originally Tiny Kong was a dude, still called Tiny Kong, I presume. It looks like that's the case, but
yeah, he was basically one of those kind of Shriner cymbal clashing monkeys.
Or organ grinder monkeys.
Organ grinder monkeys with big ear. He looked like Abu from Aladdin.
Yeah, and actually, looking at him, I think he's supposed to be a chimp.
No tail?
No tail and big ears.
Really? The organ grinder monkey, usually that's kind of like a capuchin. You'd think he'd have a tail, but...
Yeah, but, it's also... The cymbal crashing variation of that has been interpreted as a chimp as well.
That's a good point. So, anyway, there was that little tidbit, and then
and by the way, I'm glad we there's been some debate. I posted it on the Facebook page last night, last night being Thursday night, and people have been debating. I said thank God we got Tiny because I don't want this creepy thing in my canon.
The rock and roll Martian.
Rock and Roll Martian. One person got the Rock and Roll Martian reference.
Look, we're all familiar with Merlin's Mystical Shop of Horrors.
I mean, it's a Borgnine quality. But yeah, so I like that I like Tiny. I'm fine with Tiny. I made my peace with Tiny. I wanted her to be Dixie. She probably should have been Dixie. But moving on from the politics of Donkey Kong 64, I do like Tiny, and it's good that we got another female character rather than just a creepy version of Diddy.
Right. And so I asked a little bit more along those lines, when they decided to not use this version of Tiny, was there ever a conversation about a Dixie Kong before moving? And he said no, as far as he remembers, it just went straight to what we know as Tiny Kong. And then I was curious because we had a tidbit of information from a long time ago. This, I think it was from Scribes.
Well, you said on Twitter that you just got this information from me.
That's where I remember hearing it, but
as well established, you have memory problems.
Okay,
and
yeah,
we both found out this information together on Scribes.
Well, that
back in the day.
That was well over a decade ago. So anyway, regale me.
So, yeah, it was brought up on Scribes. I don't know if it was one of my questions to Lee on Scribes or if another person asked this, but basically they asked, hey, how come Dixie, what or Kitty weren't in Donkey Kong 64?
Right.
And Lee said early on the decision was made to only use characters from the original Donkey Kong Country.
Okay.
And he said later on they needed a ghost character, and they thought Wrinkly would fit the bill for that, so they broke the rule.
Yeah, but then also there are portraits of Captain K. Rool and...
there's references to the other games, but as far as actual characters used...
Clobber, and I mean, you could make a case for the Shuries, the Puff Tops,
Yeah. So obviously, if the rule existed, it was broadened as development went on, but it would certainly explain the glaring lack of Dixie Kong, which considering they had a whole game called Dixie Kong's Double Trouble, it seems kind of shocking they abandoned the character.
Well, yes. So all that being said, Mark Stevenson clarified that as far as he knows, he never heard any edict to only follow DKC characters and none of the sequels. So perhaps Lee Loveday heard something different than Mark Stevenson, or perhaps memories are hazy, or we've got conflicting reports on this, hard-hitting issue.
Here's the way I look at it. Obviously, we don't know because we weren't there.
And obviously, none of it actually matters.
It matters a great deal, sir, and you should wash your mouth out with soap for suggesting otherwise.
I'm sorry.
This is the goddamn Kongversation. Would you really go on hardball with Chris Matthews and say Congress doesn't matter?
I will construct a whip out of horsehair and make penance upon my back via lashes.
That's what they have to do to Chris Matthews, too.
Yeah. You got to keep him on his toes.
That's right. Anyway, so my thing is, we asked, or somebody asked Lee via Scribes this, closer to when the game was released, some 15 years ago. Mark Stevenson said this in 2015. Now, Mark Stevenson was there. He worked on the game. He might have a stellar memory. He might not have done a lot of drugs in college. But I don't know. I trust Scribes because Scribes is holy. Scribes is everything. But Mark Stevenson might be right. Maybe there is hearsay. Maybe some people on the team didn't know about an edict. Maybe the edict came from Miyamoto because that was one of your theories.
The artists might, though.
Well, yeah, but your theory a couple months ago, you thought that maybe Miyamoto and Nintendo were behind this only characters from DKC edict because they Returns and Retro got a similar
It did.
edict.
Yeah, that's true.
So I don't know. I mean, it's
hard
to say.
It's not so much news as we're bringing up a topic and giving you nothing but uncertainty.
Well, it's an interesting topic because it's one of those things that there's certainties about Donkey Kong 64 is why did they not use Dixie and or Kitty?
Right.
This is the reason. And it makes sense, and it makes the pill a little bit easier to swallow because that was a bitter pill to swallow in 1999 because the dream was to have a game with Donkey, Diddy, Dixie, Kitty, It was,
and also they really overloaded it with acetaminophen, and that's harmful for the liver.
Yeah, but
just stick to the active ingredients, Nintendo. Come on.
I don't know. What do you think?
I have no way. There's literally no way to know.
Yeah. See,
I'm going to take the catchphrase from every time Matt Corna's on the show. There's literally no way for us to know.
Well, that's poor podcasting then.
Poor podcasting was bringing it up in the first place.
Oh, damn it. No, but this is the problem with these Twitter revelations because Twitter has been a buzz recently with current rare people, former rare people. They're all a bunch of chatty Cathys on Twitter.
Ed Bryan's in there. You've got the Males brothers. It's a whole echo chamber.
So you've got conflicting words of God because you've got
right.
you've got faulty memories. You've got other contrarian opinions on what really happened, and you don't have it through the official filter of Lee Loveday to keep it all straight.
And
for
sometimes
us.
it feels, it's strange because we've met some of these people, like we've met Greg, but even still, every time I see that there's a new Twitter chain with just a back and forth between Mark Stevenson and Steve Males and Ed Bryan, and I look into it, it feels like I'm looking into the Ark of the Covenant and my face is going to melt off. Like, I shouldn't be witness to this interaction, but
I bet your face would melt off a lot quicker considering you have red hair.
Yeah, it'll catch a light instantly. Yeah, I won't be the guy, the Nazi who gets the benefit of the exploding head. I'm going to be the Tibetan guy whose face just melts. That'll be me.
That's why Hitler didn't hire any redhead Nazis.
Yeah, it really had nothing to do with the genetic element. It was just they burst into flames too easily.
Right. They're inadequate for transporting the Ark of the Covenant, so he had no interest in them.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, and Twitter, it's really been interesting lately because you've seen all of these sketches from Banjo-Kazooie, like these world maps and concepts. Like, we learned that Glitter Gulch Mine had its origins in Banjo-Kazooie,
right.
not Banjo-Tooie.
Yeah.
Obviously, it changed a great deal by the time it got to Tooie, but it's still cool to see,
They increased the Canary Mary quotient by 100%.
Yes, much to the celebration of gamers worldwide. I don't know. You're on Twitter more than I am. You run the fucking DK Vine Twitter. Like,
I do.
What have you been seeing lately? Like these crazy,
just all
reveals?
that kind of stuff. There's been. Come on, let's not make this into the Twitter update. That would make me a hypocrite for poo-pooing Joe's YouTube comments.
Oh, okay, but there's been if there's substantial reveals about the Donkey Kong universe in the YouTube comments, you would want Joe to read those.
That's true, I would. Nothing really substantial, but it's been a lot of fun to see some of them post pins and trade show memorabilia from previous games. Apparently, I saw that someone posted a Banjo-Kazooie nuts and bolts like multi-tool wrench and knife set. And it was
what?
And it was emblazoned with the nuts and bolts logo, like it's a giant, like a Swiss Army knife multi-tool thing, and it had knives in it, and it even had these hexagonal honeycomb shaped like nut wrenches cut into the side of it. There was also
how do we get our hands on that? Because that's fantastic.
No idea. Apparently, I think Chris Alcock was talking about it. I can't remember who else. But then Chris Alcock said that there was at one point a cameo knife. Just a knife. They produced a knife and put a cameo logo on it.
They had the Saberman Stampede poaching kit that never saw the light of day. Yeah.
There was Tim Stamper got in on the fun and posted a Killer Instinct what looked like a sword with the Killer Instinct logo that was actually a letter opener, like a sort of a silver like pewter sort of deal.
Chris Seaver. Yeah, Chris Seaver posted a dick pic of him wearing one of those Conquer condoms.
Those were E3 exclusives, mind you.
Yeah.
I forgot that they actually produced Conquer brand condoms. That is a collector's item.
I'm sure they've degraded a great deal now, so I wouldn't recommend using them. But
oh yeah, no, they are no longer FDA approved.
It's like when I was a virgin and I had a condom in my wallet and I checked it and it had expired 2 years previously.
Yeah, I remember that. I bought condoms for prom and they expired. It was fun to be a video game fan in high school. So, we landed on our feet.
Among other places.
No, lads. So,
hey, lads.
Yeah, that's basically. It's been a lot of that on Twitter. Not so much the condoms, but more nor the former, respectable rare employee full frontal nudity. I guess with the condom, it's not full frontal. But no, it's been a lot of
So long as there's something covering it,
sure,
a pouch of some sort. Yeah,
it's like a pasty for the dick.
It is
a lot of those sort of memorabilia things, which I'm sure Amir from Rare Fan Database and Killer Instinct Central is like drooling over. He's the biggest rare collector that I've ever met.
I really want to ask Amir, does his rare collection extend to like the current Donkey Kong figures from Jakks Pacific? Like, would he count those as rare, as rare memorabilia? That's a tricky gray area.
I would doubt it. Even though they are very obviously inspired by Rare's designs, if I were him focusing on rare collectibles, I would cut it off at the point where Rare was no longer designing the stuff. But that would be me. That would be me. I can't speak for Amir.
I don't know. I would definitely count like any Donkey Kong Country character like we do now. Like, I would count maybe not Professor Chop's, toy.
Well,
or anything,
your
but,
stubborn adherence to the annals of the Donkey Kong universe are well documented.
Yeah, but definitely like the new Cranky Kong minifigure or whatever. Yeah, that's rare memorabilia, sure.
Okay, sure. All right, well, let's finish out the episode with the last half of our calls, so buckle in.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Hey, DK Vine. It's the Master DS. Today I'm not going to try to be funny. I'm just going to cut to the
Okay.
I just bought a few days ago, well, actually maybe more like a week ago, hard to say, I bought Mario Tennis on Game Boy Color on the Virtual Console of the 3DS.
Ooh.
XL. Anyway, I've never played it before, and it's really weird. I don't know how to play it. Since you guys are the biggest Mario Tennis Game Boy Color fans I can think of, advocates perhaps, I was wondering if you could give me any tips and let me know how I should be playing this game. Cheers.
See, this is the problem with not pre-screening these calls. I have no memory of how to play Mario Tennis Game Boy Color. Do you?
You Master DS, you realize we're not game facts, right?
Like, yeah, you have Google at your disposal.
Maybe you should go find the master of the Game Boy Color, and he could tell you how to play the game. I mean, I don't remember like any of the mechanics or like what buttons to press.
I think you hit A when the ball came to you, and then. By the way, though, while we're talking about Mario Tennis, I need to make a sort of a mea culpa from a few weeks back.
Okay.
Yeah, well, on the Nintendo episode of the show, of course, the new Mario Tennis was announced, and I, as I have done previously, referred to Mario Tennis as a glorified Pong, which there was that stirred up a bit of a hubbub on the forum.
I fought you on that.
You did
on
fight
air.
me. You did fight me. And a case was made, and I think largely by forum poster Cobble, that. Really, if you boil any game down, it is a glorified blank, and that's true.
If you boil any game down, it's going to be unplayable.
Yeah, you'll have to dump it in the New Mexico desert.
Right, you got to get it out of that scalding water,
right?
Quick.
Yeah. Otherwise, stop and swap's not going to work. No, I understand that's a very reductive and kind of shitty way to describe a tennis game, because what is Donkey Kong Country but a glorified pitfall? I mean, I get it. And sorry about that. Mario Tennis is certainly more than just glorified Pong. Right. I'm dead wrong on that.
Yeah, so does that answer your question, Master DS?
Yeah, I'm just gonna I'm gonna take your question as an opportunity to apologize for my shitheadedness. So
no, Master DS. I would recommend talking to every character you can talk to. That's really my only advice for that.
That's true. Yeah, that was aside from Mario Golf, that was one of their first sports RPG games, and you really were rewarded by you could get tutorials, and there were a lot of opportunities to level up your character by talking to people.
Yeah, just embrace the RPG elements and don't really focus on the tennis.
Yeah,
as weird as that is to say for a game called Mario Tennis. Yeah, just enjoy the weird like story aspect of it as much as you can.
Which is strange because that's almost the opposite of how the Mario Golf World Tour, their newest Camelot Mario Golf game, wants you to play it. Like, it keeps pushing you to play golf, and there's very little reward for talking to NPCs, and there are very few NPCs because they're all just Mario baddies.
Yeah, although if you like Mario Tennis Game Boy Color, I would recommend Mario Golf. Game Boy Color, because that's my jam right there.
Me too.
And,
the pace is there's a bit more strategy to it. And yeah, I agree. Mario Golf Game Boy Color is a lot of. I even bought that one on the Virtual Console.
Yeah, Mario Golf Game Boy Color is the game I remember, the Camelot RPG I remember. And then, of course, it was followed up with Mario Golf Advance Tour, which actually brought back the characters from the Game Boy Color game.
And they were has-beens and miserable and drug addicts.
Kid, who was the golfer from one of the golfers from the original, he had suffered an injury and was forced to retire.
Now, yeah, he just shows up in a wheelchair on Quaaludes talking about how it used to be.
God, that's the second reference to Quaaludes in 2 weeks.
Oh, wow. Let's go for a hat trick next week.
Is that what Bill Cosby used? Was a hat trick? Like
next caller?
Hello, Chad and Hyle. This is Kara from the forums. I was calling to ask you a question. So, you know how Nintendo is making that new theme park or teaming up with Orlando Studios or whatever they're doing? They're going to be making rides or some sort. If you had to choose any sort of Donkey Kong-based theme park attraction, what would you choose and why? Thank you. Keep on keeping on, I guess.
Right on. Right on.
All right. Keep on doing whatever it is you people do with your time. No, thank you for the call, Kara.
Thanks for the call, Kara. Yeah. Well, to not double up on Mamechi's earlier tangent, I like how Kara gets to the point while Mamechi tells us this tale about basically shows us his vacation slides.
It was the audio version of being forced to look at someone's slides in a projector.
which don't get me wrong, that's classic Mamechi, and I wouldn't change it for the world. But maybe part of the world,
right?
Like a nice island. But an island that's not in landlocked Orlando, by the way, next to the Wizarding World of Harry Potter.
Sure.
I already mentioned my minecart roller coaster, but to be honest, that's what I would expect if we were to get the best thing we could possibly get. That's what I would expect. But is it what I really want?
See, for me, I would just take it a slight step further. Crazy Kremland.
Crazy Kremland, exactly.
You've got the theme park. Don't make it a minecart. Make it the skull carts, and there should be some carts on the ride. Like there should be sort of an open space, like a gap with no seats between them. So the person isn't directly behind you. It's not like the sort of tram style. You're actually in a 2-seater. But every so often they should have what were they called? Crash? No, Crash was from DKC. What were they called in part 2? The cutlasses with
the cutlasses on the carts. Fuck, we should know this.
Cranch. Anyway, those guys should be every couple of seats you would have a Kremling chasing you, and that would be the ride. It would be just an awesome roller coaster, but themed after Donkey Kong Country 2.
Well, I think a whole sliver of the theme park, this is what I would say, a whole sliver of the Nintendo land or whatever would be Crazy Kremland. And so you would have the Skull roller coaster, but you'd also have Brambles. You'd have a Bramble themed ride where you can get into a barrel or a blast barrel or whatever. And I don't know how you do a blast barrel ride, but an actual bringing the Brambles to life, and maybe you could walk through a Zinger Hive or something.
That sounds like it would violate the insurance policy of the theme park.
Are we back doing the McConaughey?
No, it's not the McConaughey. That was my Bill Clinton. It's the same impression. No.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, I believe it's a good opportunity for me to take off my shirt. Yeah, it's Bill Clinton. It doesn't even matter what you say.
Well, Bill Clinton is a little bit higher pitch like this, but it's
When you're under that desk, Monica, time is a flat circle. I just love driving my BMW down Sunset Boulevard. Am I right, Hugh Grant?
What?
Because McConaughey's a pitch man for BMW.
No, Lincoln.
Lincoln. God damn it. Okay. Thanks for the call, Kara.
Yeah. He just drives a Lincoln because he likes it, Chad.
Oh, is that's the deal? It has nothing to do with a sponsorship deal.
No, he was driving it long before the sponsorship deal. He just drives it because he likes it.
All right, next call.
I don't know what just happened. Anyways, this is Q-Burn, a recent member of the DK Vine forum.
Q-Burn?
Trying to be as active as I can, and one thing I've noticed, a non-DKU game that's been generating a lot of hype around the forum and other places is Cuphead. And I've noticed that Microsoft has been promoting it pretty well for like 2 E3s now. And one thing that recently came to my mind is I'm wondering if there's ever going to be any DLC featuring rare characters like as bosses. I doubt that they'd use anyone like Banjo as a playable character, but I mean like, I don't know, maybe like Mr. Patch or Great Mighty Pooh as the boss. That would be pretty interesting. That's pretty much all I've been wanting to bring up. So until then, when there's a brand new rare announcement, or when the DK is in the spotlight, never been a better time to register. Join us at DK Vine. It's rare tonight. I fucked that up, so.
Oh my God. He did the Mac Tonight thing.
Right. See you later.
Qbert,
wow,
you're my new favorite caller of all time. Sorry, Malik.
I don't think his name is Qbert, but
no?
that's certainly what it sounded like.
Well, not only is he video game royalty, he's obviously hopped down in a diagonal direction to do a parody of the Mac Tonight theme song for
I think the fact that he just breaks out into song suggests he might actually be Wayne Brady.
Or Ryan Stiles.
Yeah, well, yeah, I was going to say friend of Conquer character Ryan Stiles.
Yeah, friend of Conquer.
Right, friend of the show.
Wait, is Conquer who's a friend of the show?
I don't know anymore.
Oh, all right. It's an utterly meaningless term. All right. So, what do you think? What was Qbert's core call? What was the question?
I don't know. He started the song, and I completely lost track of what he was saying. Cuphead. What do we ever see any rare bosses in Cuphead? Because like Shovel Knight, there's Battletoads and Shovel Knight. So there's definitely the precedent there.
Yeah. I don't know. I think that Shovel Knight is definitely, its aesthetic is more steeped in classic video games, so I think it makes more sense to have classic video game characters like the Battletoads from the NES era interacting with Shovel Knight. I don't really see the aesthetic. I mean, certainly they could style up the Great Mighty Pooh to look like a 1920s character or 1930s, and it would look great, but I don't know. I'm sure they could do it justice. It just doesn't seem to me like an immediately obvious non-cash-in kind of thing. It's not as thematically apparent. What do you think?
I agree. But in this age we live in, where Donkey Kong can appear in Skylanders,
sure,
and
yeah,
everybody can appear in Shovel Knight. By the way, there's I think M-Dog on the forum has suggested that Cranky Kong could appear in the Nintendo version of Shovel Knight because the cane bounce is very similar to the shovel bounce.
That's a good point. That'd be pretty cool.
So and it would be Cranky in 8-bit sprite style, which would be delightful for him in the metatextual sense. So
right. Yeah.
But no, I mean, I could see it happening. I think it's unlikely. I think Cuphead is too stylized in its own what it's doing. I think like Disney characters appearing in it would be more apropos. But
like
I don't
a Steamboat
Disney...
Willie kind of thing.
Yeah, but I really doubt Disney would ever sign off on that.
No,
so,
they've got their Epic Mickey series, which references those classic era Disney cartoons.
But then again, in this day and age, when people are making deals left and right, and characters are appearing as DLC where you would never think they would show up, anything's possible.
That's true. I think to me, it's not so much that they couldn't make it work, because I'm sure they could. They seem to be very talented developers. I don't want them to cheapen what seems to be an incredibly interesting, cohesive world by including anachronistic character references. I think that Cuphead seems like such a cool concept. I don't want them to undermine that fundamental conceit of the game.
Here's the thing, though. I do think Conquer would work for it because Conquer is rooted in
more Tex Avery.
Yeah, more Tex Avery, but it all has its roots. It all goes back to that same era, alongside Steamboat Willie, then you had, the early like Looney Tunes, Merry Melodies or whatever. And I mean, it all goes back to the same animators working on the same cartoon.
And you can look at Conquer and you can even see, from the way the character's designed. He's got those big white gloves. He's wearing, he's an anthropomorphic animal that doesn't wear pants, but he wears a top for some reason. I mean, he's you could see the design very easily.
Hell, can you imagine a Steamboat Willie version of Conquer, like a level where Conquer, like the world of Conquer, is rendered in that style?
Greg Mayles, Sea of Thieves, make it happen.
Wait, what? Why Greg?
Out on the open ocean. Steamboat Willie Conquer.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for the call. Hubert, Mac Tonight, Wayne Brady. Sorry.
I love that song. That was amazing. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you. Call back and clarify what your name actually is. Sorry.
All right, next call.
All right, lads. It's Say here.
Again.
Get the pleasantries out the way. Well done for E3. It was. I really enjoyed your coverage, and I couldn't be more happier for both of you for getting to meet all your heroes. I mean, what a brilliant experience. But I'm sure everyone else is going to be saying the same kind of thing, so I'll move on swiftly.
No one has said
for my
that.
question, first of all, my two favourite games of the past 5 years. Rayman Origins and Assassin's Creed Black Flag. Now, funnily, with Rayman, it's one of the only franchises that I always wished growing up was part of the DKU. Even though it is sort of fairly different to most of the games on the DKU, I'd really have loved to see you guys cover it, and I think sort of in terms of quality platforming, it fits in quite well. And as for Black Flag, obviously I've never wanted Assassin's Creed to be DKU because, more than anything else, most of the series isn't very good. But when I played Black Flag, I actually thought at the time, I'd really love to see a DKU game in this style, which now we've seen Sea of Thieves. I was like, fucking hell, it is Black Flag crossed with Rare. It's the perfect bastard child, really. So my question is, are there any games or franchises that A, you wish were DKU, or B, you would like to see a DKU game in that style? Okay? All right, cheers then, guys. Bye.
Oh, man. That question got really complicated all of a sudden.
Just like Terminator Genesis.
No, I do. Going back to the Rayman thing, I remember when I was frustrated with the control scheme of Donkey Kong Country Returns, Rayman Origins, I had that on my PS3. I wanted to play it in 1080p, and the Wii version, that wasn't an option. And that game was so much fun. Did you ever really give it a go?
I played it when I was at your place in Houston, along with Ozzy, Ben, and Alistair.
Right. So you haven't like gone into the repetitive stress, insane boss battle that you just play over and over and over and over.
No. I mean, I gave it a shot, and yeah, it was a fun platformer. The style-wise, it was very different from anything in the Donkey Kong universe.
Oh, sure.
Honestly, the style and art direction never did a whole lot for me.
What? What is really?
I mean, it was fine. I mean, I'm not knocking it.
It was beautiful.
It was beautiful. It was beautiful, but it also, you have to understand that what I look for, what appeals to me, is exactly Donkey Kong Country. That's the reason I'm such a fanatic there, because it checks off all the boxes that already existed in my head beforehand.
I mean, I know that we've often said, or we've often revealed that you really, when it comes to like your wider gaming, you really do hew pretty close to the Donkey Kong bone. You don't go off on flights of fancy. Like, I'm currently playing The Witcher 3. I don't think you would ever boot up The Witcher, right?
No, I mean,
but I didn't realize that extended to your appreciation of aesthetic.
Yeah.
Really?
Oh, I mean, look, it's not like I dislike Rayman's aesthetic. I just don't think it would be a good match for the Donkey Kong universe, and I think the aesthetic, because I love jungles and tropical environments and like whole like exploration of nature so much. Yeah, Donkey Kong's my thing.
There were jungles in like the first world of Rayman, and they were beautiful. I mean, further on in the game, it got a little surreal where you're like wandering through a kitchen and there are knives flying at you and stuff. But
right, and also Rayman is what is Rayman? He's a floating series of limbs.
Well, there's a whole backstory. There's a mythology to Rayman, and that's right. Probably one of the things that Drew say. And I know MF Wolf has also said Rayman 2 is like his favorite game.
And plus, it's French. And can we really trust them after the Donkey Kong Country TV show? I don't think so.
Yeah, I demand freedom platformers.
They won back my trust a little bit after protesting the Iraq War, but
in fairness, aren't these French Canadians? They're from Quebec, aren't they?
What, the Rayman or the DKC?
No, the Ubisoft team.
I don't know.
Michel Ancel, I think his name is. I thought they were. I could have sworn they were from like Ubisoft Montreal.
Well, I'm sure. I don't know. I'm sure they have wings in Montreal, but I'm sure they have a base in the Eiffel Tower, like deep within.
Yeah. At any rate, no. Is there? What was Say's actual question? Is there a
is there a game we would like, a pre-existing franchise we would like to see in the Donkey Kong universe? Like we wished was a Donkey Kong universe franchise.
Jet Force Gemini.
Yeah, I think we already answered this once before.
Yeah.
I'll go with
Saber Wolf is a good choice.
Yes, Saber Wolf. I think I would go with that probably. Yeah, pretty much that. But and then is there a Donkey Kong? Is there a game we would like to see? A pre-existing Donkey Kong universe game that we would like to see rendered in that style, or I don't know. Because we just both gave rare games, so it's kind of like
they're essentially we've already.
I don't think
got
that's what he was
DKU
asking.
games.
Yeah. We just basically said rare games. We would like these rare games to be even more DKU-y. That's
Thanks for the call, Say, but we're going to ignore your question and answer our own.
No, I think I would like to see a Donkey Kong universe game in the style of Grand Theft Auto, not in the like absurd like violence, but in the open world sandbox kind of, and the tongue-in-cheek humor, even if it's not overtly violent or sexual.
Sort of mission-based, with little cutscenes that punctuate them, and then an open world you can explore.
Otherwise,
we've talked about
the open world sandbox. Yeah,
we've talked about a bumper game in that style would be perfect.
Or I would just like to see like Donkey Kong Country Big Ape City, like let's just call it Grand Theft Auto Big Ape City. Let's actually get that branding in there.
There's like special bonus content that lets you play as Nico from GTA 4. I can't believe I'm on this island full of these stupid talking apes. Just want to discuss immigration.
Yeah,
that game was really political.
Well, yeah, there was a YouTube parody video the other year. It was they did a Mario Grand Theft Auto parody, and then they did a sequel where it was they brought in the Donkey Kong characters, and it was Don Key Kong or something. The Mafia Don. And
okay.
Yeah, so I would actually like to see like a cartoony Grand Theft Auto. Not too cartoony, the same cartooniness you would expect from Donkey Kong Country, but an open world sandbox kind of game.
I think that, honestly, given the tone of GTA, I think Conker would be a perfect choice to headline, and you could involve the entire extended Diddy Kong Racing cast. Because those games have tons of NPCs, and that would be a perfect way to sort of bring them back in the fold.
Absolutely, yeah. I would love to see that kind of game, yeah.
But you'd want to play as Bumper. It'd be like he would be the Trevor of GTA 5 to Conker's Michael.
Yeah, it could start off, he gets out of jail after several years, on his masturbation charges.
Of course.
And he's trying to rebuild his life, trying to go clean, but, he keeps getting pulled back into the shady world of public masturbation.
Right. Yeah, it's like, God, I need to block Paul Rubens from leaving voicemails.
Right, and Paul Rubens could voice Tip Top in the game. So,
all right, you ready for the next one?
Let's take the next call.
Always bugs you with his calls. You know him well.
Oh, it's Malik.
Malik's finally back from the depths of hell. Well, actually, I only made it as far as limbo, as you guys predicted a while back. But, the Grim Reaper found out that I was indeed baptized, so he sent me back to the world of the living. Anyways, I've got a relatively simple question for you guys this time around. Now, even though the Donkey Kong cast doesn't really talk, they've been pretty vocal over the years, especially DK himself. Between Rare, Nintendo, and a couple of other stuff, his voice has been pretty varied. But I want to know which voice of his you guys prefer. Personally, I think his Grant Kirkhope voice is probably the most normal sounding and the most fitting overall, but his current voice, provided by Takashi Nagasako, it's pretty insane. I mean, it's just so energetic and it displays so many emotions.
Like
and he doesn't even
speaking
have
of
to say
energetic,
a single word. And I guess you could extend this question to other Kongs who have a voice like Diddy, Dixie, Funky Kong even. But yeah, that's all I really wanted to ask you this time around. And as usual, keep up the great work with all that you do. See ya!
Thank you, Malik.
Thank you, Malik.
Yeah, obviously caffeinated as always. We do appreciate.
I think Malik would make a good Diddy, honestly.
Yeah, I could see that. It'd be better than the one that was like, "Hey, DK." It'd be a hell of a lot better than that.
The cartoon one?
Yeah, the French cartoon.
Done by Ubisoft, yeah.
No, it's a solid call. What do you reckon?
I feel like we brought this up before, but I think Grant Kirkhope is the definitive DK voice for the both of us.
Okay. He's the one that, in the Vine Donkey Kong audio program, we had sort of a metatextual parallel plot where they discovered DK Island, and we based that Donkey Kong's voice on Grant Kirkhope.
Can we hear a little bit of that, Chad?
Oh, Jesus, my throat. I just got over E3.
I know. I'm trying to damage your vocal cords.
Hello, my name is Kikazaru. That destroyed me. And that wasn't even a good version of it.
It was kind of close to his voice in the cartoon, but it was a lot more deeper and gruffer.
I went very articulate as well, very well enunciated.
I thought that was for Kikazaru. Obviously, Donkey all confused.
Donkey all confused, yeah. But I prefer Grant Kirkhope. The new voice has grown on me, and it's still, there's shades of Kirkhope's, because Kirkhope kind of introduced the voice. And so I think,
before
Nintendo
that, it was just what we called the carburetor noise. That
yeah. And then, of course, in Donkey Kong Country, you had the
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And
that
his idle animation. Yeah.
Yeah. But, I think that the current voice has kind of aped Grant Kirkhope a little bit. Obviously, it's its own beast entirely, but
it's gotten a lot close. It used to be this sort of what we call the Scooby-Doo voice, which was really prevalent in Returns, but in Tropical Freeze they've toned that down and they've made it more of a realistic cartoon ape noise, as opposed to the Smash Brothers noises, which seem to be just gorilla sounds.
Yeah. Sakurai actually went to the zoo and actually recorded, unlike what Rare was able to. Yeah, unlike what Rare was able to not accomplish going to the Twycross Zoo, he actually got gorilla noises. Probably because the gorilla's named after him. He's got the in there.
Yeah, you're a gorilla.
Yeah.
Hyle has a pet gorilla named Sakurai, which is a real thing.
He's not a pet gorilla. I adopted him, and
isn't that how adoption works?
No, it's through the Diane Fossey Foundation.
This child is now your pet. You must care for it.
It's like the give $1 a day to help these starving African children. It's like that, except they're gorillas.
It's starving gorillas because they come before children.
No, it's gorillas that live on a wilderness preserve that's protected from poachers, and the money goes towards the upkeep of this preserve and to make sure poachers can't get in.
I saw a really interesting documentary on Netflix called Virunga. About the people that, I know this, no one cares, the people that try and save these gorillas from poachers. It's pretty good. Check it out.
Honestly, I would hope our listeners would care a little bit about protecting gorillas. No, I feel like if you like Donkey Kong, you should be interested in actually protecting the real animals.
Yeah. Not the most famous Jimmy Buffett song.
What?
If you like Donkey Kong, you should be interested in protecting gorillas. Although now I realize Jimmy Buffett did not sing the Pina Colada song.
I was gonna say this is something we argue about constantly. It's Rupert Holmes who did.
How could I forget Rupert Holmes?
He did Escape (the Pina Colada song).
All right. Thanks for the call, Malik.
Jimmy Buffett's most famous song is Margaritaville, obviously.
Okay. All right. I hope he found that shaker of salt. We have one last call. Shall we take it?
Yeah, let's take it because we gotta get to the big news we need to discuss. So let's take this call.
Jesus, it better not be Kevin Callahan.
Hey, it's me, Kevin Callahan
Oh,
from the game industry. Currently traveling the world looking for exclusives, but yeah. So, Diddy Kong Racing Wii U didn't happen. Turns out I was a year off. It's actually 2016, so my bad.
What?
But I do have a question. What would you like to see for your ideal Diddy Kong Racing Wii U game? Be it the plot, an extended roster, anything that isn't out of the realm of possibility, maybe some Mario elements, for example, and that's all I got for you. That's my question of the day. See you guys.
That's your question of the day?
Of the day? Is this going to be like a Captain Bone style ongoing campaign of Kevin Callahan calling the show? What the fuck was this?
Well, we've been telling Kevin Callahan to call the show. Now, unfortunately, can you verify that I came from Minnesota? He said he was traveling the world, so he provided an alibi if it's not from Minnesota.
So the call, I believe it came from okay, let me see. I can pull this up. I can figure out where the area code is from.
It probably came from Guantanamo or something.
Yeah. It's looking like this is a call from Kansas.
What's the matter with Kansas?
I have no idea. Yeah,
It's Governor Brownback. He's just fucking with us. This is part of his strict conservative agenda, is impersonating people from the games industry. Kevin Callahan, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. He said he was traveling the world. I'm sure Kansas is part of the world.
It definitely is. I think that's fairly well documented, yeah.
He was making a stopover, and he wanted to call the Kongversation at long last.
So he dialed 1-281-410 and a word.
As you're wont to do.
Mm-hmm.
So
what do you want to see in Diddy Kong Racing Wii U?
I want to see it actually be a real game.
Yeah.
No, this is as good a point as any. I think we're out of time this week. I don't think there's enough time to do it justice. I wanted to discuss
do what
Kevin.
Justice. There's nothing.
I've done the math, Chad, and I want to tell you I've done the math, and I still believe in Kevin Callahan.
And as we all know, Hyle is the more mathematically minded between the two of us.
Absolutely, I am. So I mean, all of my MS Paint renderings of the rare archipelago, I need to figure out latitude, longitude, and those involve numbers.
Yeah, there are definitely pixels in those images.
Measurements, yes.
Yeah.
So whenever I save my game, I have to count file 1, file 2. Yeah. That's math.
That is definitely
math. Is all around us, Chad. Math is all around us. How dare you say I don't invite mathematics into my life?
Look, I keep a steady supply of Gary and anti-Gary gum. I know all how important maths truly are. I'm just glad to see that you're finally embracing them.
Are you really calling them maths just because our British friends call them maths? Because
no,
you've already started on this SNES and NES and business. Like I call it SNES, and damn it, I'm going to call it math.
I learned the SNES thing from talking to Australians, not English folks.
Oh, right, because the English folk have actually yelled at us for saying SNES.
Have they?
On the YouTube comments, which you would know if you would let Joe read them.
Sorry, Joe. Sorry. It's your Welsh accent. I just can't parse it. Joe corrected me that he is not, in fact, from Wales.
Where did you get that Welsh thing? I didn't dispute you on it because I was like, well, maybe Joe has a little Welsh in him. I don't want to.
Hey lads.
I don't want to. Hey lads, but.
No, it was because I remember when Archer recently did an episode taking place in Wales. Joe, in our staff chat, Joe was very excited about that. He was like, "Finally, positive, good representation of Wales in the media, of some sort." And
you said the same thing about Star Trek 4.
That's true, and I'm not from San Francisco, but I am from Earth.
I was Wales.
Oh, yeah, because Kirk saved the whales.
I think we're a little bit Stephen Colbert, Jerry Seinfeld here. We're just not clicking this week.
Yeah. So, which one of us is on the referencing emotional Neutral Milk Hotel lyrics, and which one of us is being a dismissive dickhole? That's really the Jerry Seinfeld, Stephen Colbert dichotomy.
Is there a way we can both be the dismissive dickhole without syncing up?
What's the deal with the end of the show?
So, listen, Kevin Callahan, thank you for the call. Unfortunately, we've run out of time.
Fuck off, Kevin Callahan.
Would you let me finish, you dismissive dickhole?
I'm playing a part here.
Do not Seinfeld me here. I want to discuss Kevin Callahan's new blog post because I feel like it is really the story of the year. So next week, I promise you, we will discuss Kevin Callahan at length. The Diddy Kong Racing Wii U rumors, now the Diddy Kong Racing NX rumors. It's going to be a glorious time for all. And I don't know, get out your abacuses because you're going to be doing the math with us.
It's a golden balloon, Hyle. Gold!
This has been a File 2 production.
Que rico.